Brent Van Rensburg is kind enough to join us to talk about the upcoming presentation. Brent, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thanks very much for having us on.
Have you? I'm going to presume you're on a national, worldwide tour going around. Is that? Or are you just coming to Minneapolis, St. Paul for this? Are you touring around?
No, not at all. This is a dream that's been a long time in the making. Zip Zap's been around for 32 years. We've done 38 international tours with the students, but it's always been our goal to start a professional touring show. So this is our first leg of the world tour, starting out in Minneapolis with 54 performances. And the show Moya is actually based on a story of the lead character in the show. Actually tells a story about a kid who grew up on the streets of Cape Town and found his way into this crazy circus school called Zip Zap and became, one of the family, the Zip Zap family, and made his way to the world stage. So the lead character is playing his own life story, which makes Moya, which means spirit in Zulu, makes it quite special. So, yeah, we're really, really, really excited about opening night here.
Speaking of special, I've read a little bit about you and your history here. I want to start off, I want to talk a little bit about yourself. Trapeze artist, generally not one you see on what do you want to do in life on the high school checklist. How did you yourself get involved in the circus initially?
Well, when I was a little kid, there was a local YMCA in my neighborhood, and there was a flying trapeze rigging in the back, but it was only for older guys and girls. And so I used to hop over the fence, and they used to chase me away and I guess they just got tired of chasing me away. So when I was about 10 and a half years old, they started teaching me flying trapeze. And by the time I was 13, I told my mom, as soon as I get a chance, I'm dropping out of school and I'm going to become a trapeze artist. And 2 years later, I left South Africa and started my career as a flying trapeze artist in Europe. Yeah.
And you worked how long did you work in Europe for then?
Well, we started out the first 4 years with a big flying trapeze act. It was at that time, it was the biggest and youngest flying trapeze act in the world. And then we went to 82. I came to the States, until 86. And then worked with Ringling, worked in Disney, worked in SeaWorld, worked with Circus Vargas in California, and then ended up in the Caribbean where I met my wife and the co-founder of Zip Zap Circus, taught her flying trapeze, and we ended up performing in her hometown of Paris. With a traditional circus there, we're quite a famous circus. And and I said to her after the season, I said, come on, I'll show you my home, my place of birth, which is Cape Town, South Africa, and just for 6 weeks. And we went for 6 weeks and stayed 32 years.
It is, you go back home, and did you have the idea when you went back there to start Zip Zap, or was it one of those things you got down there and you realized, I've learned a lot here, I understand the value, the camaraderie, the family of the circus community, we have an opportunity?
It was not planned at all. It was extremely organic, the process. I hadn't been home for a long time to my home country. Nelson Mandela had just been released from prison. People were leaving in the droves. They were getting out of the country because there was all this talk about a civil war and all this stuff going on. And, of course, we all know Nelson Mandela, transitioned the country peacefully. And 2 years prior to him becoming president, I really kind of thought, I said to my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, why don't we start something and put 2 cents in and we use circus as the tool to bridge gaps between the kids from different backgrounds, cultures, colors, haves, have-nots. And we basically started with this idea that was somewhat ideological, but we really thought that if we put 2 cents in, we could help make a difference. And a couple of years later, we ended up actually performing for Nelson Mandela and meeting him afterwards. And after the show, they said, the president wants to see you and the kids. And we were chatting, and he said, why are you doing this? And we said, because we want to be part of your dream of a rainbow nation, and we want to put our 2 cents in. And, we had a great time chatting with him. And at the end, he said, keep it up, and since then, it's 32 years later, Zip Zap is going really strong. The mission has never changed. We bridge gaps between kids. There are over 3,000 students attending 9 programs at Zip Zap at the Academy, and the school is free. Nobody's ever paid, whether you're rich or poor. The school is absolutely free. You just got to be willing to work hard, be part of the family.
I watched a nice little piece on you from, I think it was 2009, and the kids just were all talking about how much they enjoyed it, and it clearly has been a success, and it became, like I said, a family, a home for a lot of these students here. Was that how it initially? I mean, I understand the intent, and clearly you got to where you wanted to get with this. But when you started this up, how was it received back then in 1992?
It was tough. It was really tough. I mean, we didn't have any money. We didn't have a venue. We didn't have anything. We put a trapeze bar in a tree in the local township. We were moving desks in an old school and teaching the kids in the classrooms, and it was just a crazy dream. And so we had kids from the township. We were teaching kids from a sort of a middle-class white neighborhood school, and then we would bring the two groups together, and then we started working with children from shelters, street kids from the local shelter, and we brought them into the fold. And like literally in 94, 2 years after we started, we dug up a whole circus tent out of a friend of mine's garden, and we put it on a truck, and we drove 400 miles to a festival, and with this group of kids from a street shelter, from the township, and from middle-class families, and everybody was kind of nervous that this was going to go down. But my wife and I took the show. We put the tent up with the kids. We put the seating up, and and it was amazing. And it was documented. It was on local television. A great documentary was made, and right from the get-go, the bridging the gaps between kids from very different backgrounds who would not normally have a chance to meet under any circumstances, it worked. It really, and we knew that circus was magic. We knew that this was a great tool, because kids can come into the circus from all shapes and sizes. There's a place in the circus for everybody. You don't have to be an awesome acrobat or a trapeze artist. You could be a juggler or a unicyclist or a clown. So it's very accepting, and it's I think that the success of Zip Zap is not just a good show. We're not just a good show. We're way more than that. I think the real success of Zip Zap is how the kids have lived and trained, and how they trust each other, and how they work as a team in all the programs. It's been an amazing journey for my wife and I to see it come together, and we're super proud that we've made it to the world stage with a bunch of kids who come from very little.
And when you get through school, obviously you get a lot of kids, I imagine. Cirque du Soleil is out there, and that's brought a lot of kids in and stuff like this. So it seems like it's a growing field where you can get most of these kids, get them on that springboard into a larger career here.
Absolutely. Look, in 1992, when we started Zip Zap, so what we do is called social circus as opposed to professional circus. Yeah. There are many schools around the world where you pay lots of money, like Harvard or Yale, and your kids go there and they come out with an act at the end. But in 92, there were 10 social circus schools in the whole world, and we were one of the 10. And today there's, 750 in 70 countries, reaching 1.5 million kids. And Cirque du Soleil actually did a study on social circus schools, because in past years they supported us and the other circus schools around the world. So they did a really in-depth study, and we're very proud to say that we were one of the pioneers of social circus in the way we did it. We were the first school to work with children living with HIV in partnership with Doctors Without Borders. We did a lot of firsts, completely free. It's great to know that we've been part of a journey that's made such a difference to so many kids around the world. Mm.
And I can just look at the kids there in these interviews I've seen, and you're having success. And whether they stay in the circus realm or they just go on to something else, you're setting these kids up with such a great foundation. There are very few success stories as good as yours, my friend. You really seem to have hit the Grand Slam home run.
Well, we're not done yet. Our goal is to make sure Zip Zap continues long after we move on. But the thing is, it's not there to turn out circus professional performers. It's there to teach life skills. Yeah. And so even if they spend 2 or 3 years in the Zip Zap environment, what they take out is teamwork, discipline, hard work and passion. So they learn these things that will help them no matter what they choose to do in life later. It's just stepping stones to life. And if for those who want to become teachers, most of our teachers at home are kids who grew up there in the system. Our technicians are kids who grew up there. So, and then of course, over the years, our performers have gone on to work at Cirque du Soleil and work in Universal Circus in America and all over Europe. But the idea was that one day we would make our own touring show and not have to let the kids always go to work at other circuses. We wanted a Zip Zap touring show, and here we are. We are in Minneapolis, ready to go.
And which brings, once again, my guest is Brent van Rensburg, Zip Zap Artistic Director for Zip Zap Circus. Moya is the show that they're bringing to the Children's Museum here starting later this week. And let's get into this. So let's start, as the Artistic Director, what was the foundation for Moya? Where did this begin?
So I think, our board of trustees have we've done thousands of different shows over the years. And they, one of the trustees kept saying, why don't you try to tell the Zip Zap story within the show, especially if you're going onto the world stage? Why don't you tell what Zip Zap does for so many of these kids? And we during COVID, our oldest daughter who lives in Montreal is quite a renowned aerialist. She's been 11 years. She came home and we made a little movie during COVID because we couldn't perform live. Yeah. And we did this movie called Moya that she did. She directed, she filmed it, edited with her partners. And it went on to win 3 awards in America, the actual movie. And it was about a kid from the streets that found his way. And that was the storyline of the movie. And then, after the success of the movie that we made, our daughter said to us, well, why don't you adapt it into the live show and make that your touring show, and then show the world what Zip Zap does. And it just so happened that the lead character in the movie is the lead character in the show here in Minneapolis. And because Moya means spirit, he's sort of unbreakable spirit to make it from the streets to the world stage. And he's playing his own life story, which I think really tells the story for real.
It's got to be fun to go worldwide. And I mean, you're already experienced with this. I mean, the circus, that's one of the things that's great about the circus. Universal. You can go anywhere on this planet. Everyone likes the circus. Everyone knows what the circus is. So it's a way to break down different cultures and be able to relate. And so for you're going to get up on the stage there. This crew is going to get up there. And I mean, obviously you're at the Children's Museum, so you're going to have a lot of kids. But I'm going to imagine, this is one of those shows that everyone will want to go see because of this, obviously the spectacle of it, but as well as this great story with it.
Well, yeah, I think we bring not just the show to the stage. We also, after every show, it's kind of our sort of, not trademark, but it's what we do. Our performers go into the foyer after every show and meet the kids and chat to them, and so they can really have direct contact with the team they've just seen on the stage, and they just a great bunch of guys. There's only one female in the show at the moment, but I think the audience in Minneapolis are really going to dig this show a lot because it's real. It's also a story that people can understand worldwide. It's not just, and even though it's got a South African flavor and South African music, an original musical score, it's a global story. In a way, everybody can relate to it. Even young kids can relate to it because it is a global story. So, yeah, we're super excited, and it's the beginning of the world stage. So, it's funny when you have ideas and dreams and visions, and when they come together, it's super exciting. And we've had a few over the years, but this has been like a really major step forward for Zip Zap and the whole organization.
I'm glad you're here. I really am. I mean, I think the city should be pretty flattered that you guys decided to start this sucker here, and so it's great. I hope you guys, it's going to get a little cool in October. Not bad. It's going to get a little cool. I know Cape Town is kind of, depending where you're at down there, a little more moderate. I've had some friends from down there. But I'm really glad you guys are in the city to kick this off here.
Thank you. I would love it if you come and see the show, man.
I will.
Really would like you to come.
I will. I guarantee you I will come, and I'll find you because this does sound fantastic. Once again, it opens on the 12th at the Children's Museum, right?
Correct.
All right. I'll put out links to everything a little bit later at the Children's Museum. Moya is the name of the show. Brent van Rensburg is the artistic director and the co-founder of Zip Zap Circus. Brent, as thank you very much. This sounds fantastic, and welcome to Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Thank you so much for having us again, mate. See you soon.
See you soon. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show on a Monday.